And welcome back to America Talks Live. I'm Bill Tucker, filling in for Steve today. Joining me now to discuss public polling going forward and a whole lot more is John Zogby. He's Newsmax contributor, senior partner at John Zogby Strategies, director at the Keenan Center for Entrepreneurship, and author of We Are Many, We Are One, Neo-Tribes and Tribal Analytics in the 21st Century America. Considering how the pollsters got it so wrong in this election, will there be a re-examination of how pollsters go about their business as we move forward? Or, in fact, what does any of this mean? Go ahead, John, go ahead.
No, yes, there will be a re-examination, and there should be, but I will disagree with the premise. If you re-look at the final results, what you see are the directional signals. You know, pollsters can't and shouldn't predict to the point or tenth of a point when so many people make up their minds on election day itself. Yeah. But the directional signals were pointing towards a Clinton victory in the popular vote and away from her in all of those states, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, 10-point leads, North Carolina down to 2- and 3-point leads. The directions, I think, gave us what we needed to know if we know how to read polls.
Well, yeah, on this point, before we get to another topic I really want to get into, but on this point, and I know that you and I have spoken about this before, and there really isn't any way, I don't think, to quantify this. I think a lot of what went on coming prior to this election was there was a lot of shaming of people who were Trump supporters. You must be a racist. You must be a homophobe. You must be a moron. You must be deplorable. You must be despicable. You must be all kinds of things that were not, in fact, positive things. And I had the feeling that a lot of people I knew who were leaning Trump didn't want to admit, didn't want to talk about the fact that they were leaning Trump because they didn't feel like getting called those names. They didn't feel like being shamed. I don't know if there's any way we could fix that, but do you think that that might have been part of the process this time around?
Honestly, Bill, I don't know. You know, we're only as good as, if people will talk to us, right. And then when they talk to us, if they'll tell us their intentions. But I suppose it was really the last minute decision makers who just decided at the very end. I just don't have any evidence whatsoever of that shaming, not even anecdotally, frankly.
All right. Well, that's fair. That's why I asked the question. Let's go on to something else that struck me over the weekend. Hillary Clinton came out. She has been largely gracious. She has largely done what she needed to do in terms of thanking her supporters, conceding the election. In public, she's been very professional, except for this one area. She says it's not her fault she lost. She puts the blame on Comey. Can she fairly do that, or do you think there's a bigger problem, in fact, with the Democratic ticket?
Oh, there's a bigger problem. Had she been trustworthy in the very beginning and the polls had shown that she was trustworthy, then maybe there would not have been a private email server at home, in a sense that, hey, there's two different sets of rules that we play by. Column A are the rules everybody else that covers everybody else, and column B are the rules that only cover the Clintons, which essentially are no rules at all. Mm-hmm. Had there not been that, there would have been no Comey. Had there not been Comey, there wouldn't have been questions. It's a cycle, and the fact of the matter is the blame goes right back to her. She is the one who created the atmosphere of doubt and distrust.
It's interesting. I don't recall an election, not in my lifetime, where there was this much post-election vitriol, and maybe my memory is just too short. We're looking at a lot of fierce opposition to Trump, and the man hasn't even taken office or taken any action yet. Does this fit with anything you've seen in your lifetime, John?
Well, I did a poll for Reuters 3 weeks after the 2000 election, mm-hmm. and we found that among Bush supporters, 67% said that Gore would not be the legitimate president of the United States. That was a real red flag there, and I think we may have seen something similar, and I think Gore was probably smart enough ultimately then to just back off after the Supreme Court decision. But today, there's all sorts of wailing and gnashing of teeth and a sense of fear and safe rooms on campuses and things like that. And I think, frankly, it's one thing to have a difficult time accepting the results of an election, but hey, America goes on, life goes on, get over it.
Yeah, I would think so as well. Do you think that this kind of vitriol is going to become actually probably the major impediment to Trump? Will they be the reason, in quotes I use they, be the reason that he can't unite the country? Is there just so much dead set opposition to him that he's got a hurdle he can't clear?
Well, look, we did see that, of course, during the Obama administration in reverse, depending on how you read Mitch McConnell and John Boehner and the Freedom Caucus and so on. But moving it up to today, the they that you refer to will be one of the obstructions, but I don't think things have been resolved within the GOP quite yet. And I think that you see Donald Trump moderating and modulating already. Will he be allowed to, and has he unleashed something within his own base, let alone something opposed to him that he's just not going to be able to control? Stay tuned.
Well, no, that's interesting because I've had this conversation all during the election season. I keep insisting Trump is a pragmatist. He's not an ideologue, where, for example, Obama was an ideologue. To that point, Trump this weekend decided to make Reince Priebus his chief of staff. He kept the hand grenade throwing guy, Bannon, over on the side. So it's an interesting combination of an odd couple, if you will. But what do you make of his decision to make Reince the chief of staff?
Well, I think that that's supposed to, he knows that he needs elements of the establishment, not the least of which are the personnel and the structure of a party in order to govern. Now, where's it going to get, 4,000 people to populate an administration, in the first year or so? And so that was, I think, a smart move. Priebus that has his detractors, but now he's a winner, isn't he? And he supported Trump, and he was out there for Trump. Bannon thing may be a bit more troublesome. Talk about ideologues, but at least there's a sense that there's continuity with Priebus.
John, I got to cut you off there. Thanks so much for joining us. Remember to stay tuned for Hour 2 of America Talks Live with my friend J.D. Hayworth. But first, the anti-Trump protests are getting out of control, resulting in riots this weekend in Portland. I went in depth with this report. America's left is having a temper tantrum. From the benign, if infantile, unfriend me if you voted for Trump request on Facebook, to the reported violent beatings of Trump supporters, America's left wing is putting its intolerance on full display. The disdain for the uneducated, deplorable, stupid people who voted differently from them has been nothing short of shocking. Teachers refusing to stand for the national anthem, protest in the street, some turning violent. College canceling classes and exams as students wept openly. Some colleges going as far as to provide counseling for those distraught over Secretary Clinton's election loss. Students burned the American flag. In Oakland, the air was filled with cries of F Trump, F white America, and even kill Trump. In Los Angeles, the LA Times building was sprayed and effigies of Trump were set on fire. Traffic was stopped in Chicago, Portland, San Francisco, and other cities around the country as protesters carried signs of "Not my president." The theme was simple: lots of hate and anger by people accusing Trump of being the candidate of hate. And not even Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg could contain her dissent with the election as she appeared on the bench Wednesday wearing her famous dissent jabot. The message from the left is clear. You have a freedom of choice as long as you choose like we tell you to choose. And if you don't, there'll be hell to pay. Bill Tucker, Newsmax, New York.